My dear brothers and sisters, every one of us faces moments when life feels unbearably heavy, when the weight of sadness, loss, or disappointment seems to drain the joy from our hearts. We see others smiling and moving on, and we wonder, why can't I feel that same happiness? But true happiness is not found in ease. It's found in the heart that remains content even in hardship. Because real peace doesn't come from the absence of pain, it comes from the presence of Allah. The world may change, people may leave, plans may fall apart, but when your heart is anchored in the remembrance of Allah, nothing can truly break you. So today, let's reflect on how to stay happy even when life is hard, not by denying our pain, but by transforming it into a source of light, faith, and nearness to Allah. So many people spend their entire lives chasing happiness through external things, wealth, relationships, success, beauty, or recognition. But sooner or later, every one of those things fades. And when they do, the heart that was attached to them collapses too. The truth is, happiness that depends on temporary things will always be temporary. The only happiness that lasts is the one rooted in something eternal, in your connection with Allah. When your heart is attached to the world, every change in life will shake you. But when your heart is attached to Allah, you'll find calmness even in chaos, because He never leaves. He never breaks His promises. He never changes. The world disappoints because it was never meant to fulfill you. It was meant to point you back to the one who can. Allah tells us in the Quran, "Verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest." Surah Ar-Ra'd 13:28. This verse is more than a statement. It's a divine secret to happiness. It means your peace isn't lost when life becomes difficult. It's lost when you forget to remember Allah. Because remembrance is not just saying Subhanallah or Alhamdulillah with your tongue. It's living in constant awareness that Allah is with you, watching over you, guiding you, and never abandoning you. When the heart remembers Allah, even sadness transforms into serenity. Because you begin to see your hardships differently, not as punishments, but as paths to purification. You realize that maybe the pain isn't there to break you, but to rebuild you, to teach your soul to stop depending on what was never meant to last. When you sit in sujud after a long, tiring day and whisper your worries to Allah, that moment is happiness. When you choose to forgive even when it hurts, that's happiness. When you still say Alhamdulillah with tears in your eyes, that's happiness. Because in those moments, your heart is not reacting to the world. It's responding to Allah, and that's the secret. Happiness isn't about having a perfect life. It's about having a heart that knows who to turn to when life isn't perfect. It's not about never falling. It's about knowing who helps you rise again. When your joy comes from Allah, it doesn't depend on what happens around you. It becomes unshakable, pure, and everlasting, the kind of happiness that stays. Even when life gets hard, when life becomes heavy, one of the first things our hearts begin to do is focus on what's missing. The unanswered prayers, the unfulfilled dreams, the people who left, or the opportunities that slipped away. We replay in our minds what we lost and forget to notice what we still have. But true peace, my dear brothers and sisters, begins when you shift your focus from what is gone to what remains. When you stop counting what you don't have and start cherishing what you do. Gratitude is not only a beautiful feeling, it's a powerful form of worship. Allah tells us in the Quran, "If you are grateful, I will surely increase you." This Surah Ibrahim 14:7, this is not only about increasing your material blessings, it's about expanding your heart, your patience, your inner peace. The one who practices gratitude doesn't live a life with more things. They live a life with more meaning. Because every blessing you acknowledge grows, not because it multiplies in number, but because your heart learns to see it differently. Think about it. How many times have we woken up in the morning, breathing, walking, eating, thinking, and moving without ever saying Alhamdulillah? We forget that the very breath we take is a gift millions wish for. We forget that being able to pray, to feel pain, to love, to hope, these are blessings too. Sometimes the reason we feel unhappy is not because our life lacks blessings, but because we have stopped noticing them. When you start focusing on what remains, your entire perspective changes. That heartbreak that shattered you may have taken someone away, but it also brought you closer to Allah. That job you lost may have closed one door, but it opened your heart to something more meaningful. The delay you're complaining about might be the very thing protecting you from a disaster you cannot see. When you learn to trust Allah's plan, even disappointments become blessings in disguise. Gratitude also changes the way you handle pain. When you say Alhamdulillah in moments of ease, it's worship. But when you say Alhamdulillah in moments of hardship, it's faith. Because gratitude in ease is acknowledgement, but gratitude in difficulty is surrender. You are telling Allah, "Well, Allah, I may not understand, but I trust you. I may not see the wisdom, but I know you never make mistakes." That level of gratitude transforms sadness into serenity. It makes your heart bloom in the middle of storms. One of the greatest secrets of happiness is to train your heart to look for light even in darkness. When you focus on what you still have, your faith, your health, your family, your ability to call upon Allah, you realize that you are far richer than you thought. You are never truly empty when you still have Allah, because everything you lose in this world was never meant to last, but everything you have with Allah is eternal. So shift your focus today. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What is Allah teaching me?" Instead of counting what went wrong, count what's still right. Instead of chasing what you lost, hold on to what Allah allowed to stay. Gratitude doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It means you don't let pain blind you from seeing Allah's mercy. When you begin to live this way, seeing every breath, every sunrise, and every heartbeat as a gift, happiness stops being something you chase and becomes something you carry inside your heart, no matter what life brings. Well, life will not always be soft and gentle. There will be days when your heart feels heavy, when you can't see the wisdom behind what's happening, and when all you want to do is ask, "Why me?" But in those exact moments of confusion and pain, something deep and beautiful is happening. Allah is shaping you, teaching you, and preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. Hardship is not a punishment, it's a process. It's the way Allah transforms your heart from reliance on people to reliance on Him alone. When a believer goes through difficulty, Allah is not pushing them away, He is pulling them closer. The pain you feel is not the sign of His anger, it's the sign of His love. Because if Allah loves a servant, He purifies them. He refines their heart, washes away their pride, their ego, their attachment to this world, until all that remains is sincerity and trust. Just like gold must pass through fire before it shines, your soul must pass through trials before it truly reflects faith. Think about how rain falls hardest before the earth becomes green. The storm looks harsh, the clouds seem heavy, but they carry the very water that brings life. In the same way, your pain might be the very thing watering your soul. Every hardship you face, whether it's loss, betrayal, or disappointment, is Allah's way of teaching you something you couldn't learn through comfort. You may lose people, but you gain resilience. You may lose stability, but you gain strength. You may lose what you thought you needed, only to discover Allah is all you ever needed. Sometimes we ask Allah to make us strong, and then He sends a trial. We ask Him to increase our patience, and He gives us delays. We ask Him to purify our hearts, and He removes the people or things that distract us from Him. At first, we see this as pain, but later we realize it was a form of mercy. The things that break us often end up building us. The things that hurt us often teach us how to heal. And the times we feel furthest from Allah are often when He is closest, guiding us silently through every tear we shed. When you see your hardship through this lens, you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start saying, this is happening for me. Allah is not testing you to see you fall. He is testing you to see you rise. He wants to strengthen the roots of your faith so that no storm can uproot you again. When you learn to embrace your pain as part of your spiritual growth, your heart finds peace even in chaos. So, the next time life feels unbearable, whisper to yourself, this is not the end. This is my transformation. Allah is molding you into someone capable of holding bigger blessings, deeper faith, and stronger trust. Your hardship today is carving the space within your heart for the happiness that is coming tomorrow. Because Allah never allows pain without purpose. He never lets a tear fall without reason. And one day, you'll look back and realize that what you thought was breaking you was actually rebuilding you, stronger, wiser, and closer to Him. When life becomes overwhelming, when your heart feels restless and your thoughts keep spinning in circles, there is one place where true peace can be found in prayer. Salah is not just a ritual, it's your lifeline. It's the quiet space where you leave behind the noise of the world and meet the one who created peace itself. In every bow, every whisper, every tear that falls on your prayer mat, Allah is inviting you to rest your burdens upon Him. We often search for happiness in places that were never meant to hold it, in people, success, relationships, or comfort. But the truth is, the heart was never created to find its peace in anything temporary. That's why even when we get what we wanted, the happiness fades. But when you turn to Allah in prayer, you are connecting to the eternal. You are talking to the one who understands you without words, the one who knows what you're too tired to explain. That's why real happiness begins when your heart starts to find peace in sujood, when you lower your head before Allah and rise with a lighter heart. Prayer is the moment when heaven meets earth. When the world feels cold, the prayer mat becomes your warmth. When you feel lost, the adhan becomes your call home. And when you feel broken, Salah becomes the place where pieces of your heart are gathered again. Every time you say Allahu Akbar, you remind your heart that Allah is greater, greater than your fear, greater than your pain, greater than the problems that seem impossible to solve. That phrase itself is medicine for the soul. There's something incredibly healing about turning to Allah during hardship. The Prophet said, closest a servant is to his Lord is when he is in prostration. Think about that. In the lowest physical position, your soul reaches its highest spiritual state. That's the beauty of Salah. It humbles the body but elevates the heart. It's where you pour out everything, even the things you can't tell another human being. Because when you speak to Allah, nothing is too small, nothing is too broken, and nothing is too late. Many people pray, but few feel their prayer. The key is presence. When you stand before Allah, imagine that He is watching you, that He is listening, that He is responding. Every verse you recite in Surah Al-Fatiha is a dialogue. You speak, and Allah answers. That realization changes everything. Suddenly, Salah isn't a duty, it's a meeting with the one who loves you the most. And when you start to approach prayer that way, you begin to crave it. You wait for it. It becomes your peace, not your burden. Happiness in hardship doesn't come from escaping pain, it comes from transforming it into worship. When you feel hurt, pray. When you feel uncertain, pray. When you feel alone, pray. Salah doesn't always change your situation, but it always changes you. It gives your heart the strength to endure, the clarity to trust, and the serenity to wait for Allah's plan with calmness. Because when you make prayer your refuge, no matter how hard life becomes, your soul stays anchored in peace. There comes a point in every believer's life when they must learn to surrender, not because they've given up, but because they've finally understood. Trusting Allah's plan is not about sitting back and doing nothing. It's about doing your best, making your effort and then letting your heart rest, knowing that the outcome is already written by the one who never makes mistakes. The truth is, peace begins the moment you stop fighting Allah's decree and start trusting His wisdom. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is to accept what you don't understand. You prayed, you worked hard, you begged Allah for something, and yet the answer seemed to be no or not yet. And it hurts because you thought it was right for you. But trusting Allah means believing that even when things don't go your way, they're still going His way. And His way is always better. He sees the entire picture while you only see a piece. He knows what will happen tomorrow, next year, and in eternity. And maybe what you wanted would have harmed you or taken you further away from Him. When you understand this, your heart becomes light. Because suddenly, you realize that every delay, every detour, every heartbreak, and every unanswered dua is not a sign of rejection, it's a sign of redirection. Allah is guiding you towards something better, even if that better doesn't look like what you imagined. You might have wanted a specific outcome, but Allah wanted to give you something deeper: faith, patience, and closeness to Him. And that is a far greater gift than anything this world could offer. Look at the story of Prophet Yusuf, A.S. He was betrayed, thrown into a well, sold as a slave, and imprisoned unjustly. Yet every single hardship was a step closer to his destiny. When he finally looked back, he said, "Indeed, my Lord was subtle in all that He arranged." Surah Yusuf 12 and hundreds. That's what it means to trust Allah, to believe that His plan is unfolding perfectly, even when you can't yet see how. When you trust Allah completely, your heart stops asking, "Why me?" and starts saying, "Alhamdulillah for everything." You stop measuring success by what you gain and start measuring it by how much faith you keep. You stop fearing the future because you know it's already written by the Most Merciful. You stop holding on to what's gone because you know if it was truly good for you, Allah would have kept it. The heart that trusts Allah is unshakable. It may cry, it may break, but it never loses hope because it knows that behind every loss, there is a lesson. Behind every pain, there is purpose. And behind every delay, there is divine timing. So trust Him when it hurts, trust Him when it's unclear, and trust Him when it feels impossible. Because one day, you'll look back and smile, realizing that every unanswered dua was answered in a better way. Every closed door led to something greater. And every tear you cried was preparing your soul for the joy that was written for you all along. My dear brothers and sisters, happiness is not the absence of pain, it's the presence of faith. Life will always bring moments of sadness, struggle, and loss, but none of these can take away your peace if your heart remains with Allah. The secret to lasting happiness is not found in having an easy life, but in having a trusting heart, one that says, "Alhamdulillah," even when tears fall. Every test you face is a message from Allah. Come back to me. Every delay, every heartbreak, every moment of uncertainty, it's all designed to draw you nearer to Him. And the closer you get to Allah, the lighter your burdens feel, because the one who has Allah has everything. And the one who loses Allah loses everything. So smile even through the hardship. Be grateful even through the pain. And keep reminding your soul, my happiness doesn't come from this world. It comes from the one who created it. Alhamdulillah for every reminder that softens the heart and guides us closer to Allah. May He fill your days with light, your nights with peace, and your heart with contentment that no hardship can take away. Keep remembering Him, keep trusting Him, and keep saying Alhamdulillah, not because life is perfect, but because Allah is. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallahil azim. Jazakallahu khairan for listening. May Allah bless you, protect you, and grant you endless peace and happiness in this world and the next. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.